You're listening to the Pro Wrestling Post podcast with your host, Mark Madison. This episode's guest is Sonjay Dutt. Visit ProWrestlingPost.com for interviews, blogs, and upcoming events in your area. You can also find the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Anchor, or whatever podcast app you prefer. And now here's your host, Mark Madison.
Now, discuss some of your early training, if you could, with Larry Sharp, John Dalton, and working with KYDA Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, when I was, I was a senior in high school, and I found out that Larry Sharp was over in the Monster Factory in D.C., about 30 minutes from where I was living. I said, you know what, I just turned 18, I was graduating high school in a few months, we went up there, me and my buddies, spent a little time there, and then finished up with KYDA, which was another school that was a little more affordable, and I guess the issue was that KYDA was more affordable for an 18-year-old kid that was going to college, but they had regular shows running at the time, which was enticing because obviously as a young pro wrestler, your first goal is to get on a show and get in front of an audience, and I wanted to tackle that as soon as I could.
Competing for TNA as part of their X division allowed for a number of great opportunities. Which ones would you say stood out, and which ones could you think, if you're in looking back in hindsight, would have been better developed, or you think could have been better developed?
Okay, better developed. I guess, man, we could be here all day if we want to discuss that. I guess to put it in a nutshell, as a whole. I guess the entire X division at one point was the focal point of the company, and it stood us out. It made us different. There was a reason that guys like myself and Shelley, Saban, and PD, Lethal. I mean, the smorgasbord of talent. I mean, the reason why we were hired, it wasn't because we were, household names or shacked up guys. We were hired because we were pro wrestlers and we were really good at our craft. And at the beginning, it was, hey, let them go out there and let them showcase what they can do and intermix and intermingle stories within these personalities and these wrestlers and see what happens. And they did that for a little bit, and then they're back and, blah, 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 and whatnot. I mean, I guess it's the points that have been brought up all too often when the discussion of TNA as a whole has come up. As far as the opportunities that it did afford me, I loved my time there. The experience and the knowledge and the time that I spent there, that was invaluable. When I started, I was like 21 or 22, and maybe 2.5 years, something like that, in wrestling, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was thrust on the live pay-per-view and TVs, and kind of forced to learn went, and it's funny because a lot of people say this, but about themselves, they hit their stride, and then by the time they hit their stride, they're either leaving or they're on to a next venture. And I hit my stride as a heel in 2008, 2009, and then boom, I was gone. But I loved it, and aside from all the wrestling and getting to see the world and working with some of the best guys that you could come up with and all that talent, just the fact that I got to spend every day on the road with my best friend in life, Jay Lethal, and that's just an experience, man. I mean, hitting the road and living your dream with your best friend. What more could you ask for?
You can't quite beat it, no. Traveling the independent circuit has provided you a number of great, memorable experiences. What have you found to be the benefits of competing on the independent circuit as opposed to being with a major promotion?
I love the independence, man. I came up on the independence, and even being a talent to a major company in the States, I still did independence. That kind of my heart always kind of stayed in the independence. I love the independence, and I think that really is what afforded me to continue making a good living, being a pro wrestler, even not having that TV time after I left TNA. The fact that I can go out there and I can kind of dictate my own schedule, and I don't have to ask permission, or I'm not a politics guy. I don't really play the political game, and I just want to go out and I want to perform, and I love meeting new people, man. I love stuff like this, highly intellectual interviews and having a discussion with you about wrestling. I enjoy that stuff, and being on independence, those experiences are afforded to you way more often than being in a major company. And sometimes you've got handcuffs on it, sometimes you're answering to someone else, whereas here on the it's I'm answering to myself and what's best for me and my family.
That's fantastic. I'm gonna get in a roundabout way to that, but just bear with me here. I had a chance to speak with Nick Aldis, who really credited your work with Rinka King and the time in India. How did that opportunity initially come about, and how would you have envisioned its success when you were there and a part of it with Jared and Nick and yourself?
It was interesting.
Okay.
I actually, first and foremost, that time period, doing Rinka King was amazing. How it came about is, at the time, Jeff Jarrett was still with TNA, and this was, partly a Jeff Jarrett, it was actually it was just a Jeff Jarrett project, but, being still working for TNA, it was under their banner. Nobody in that office had anything to do with it other than Jeff and his team, which was my Steve Lagana, Rudy Charles at the time. Jeff approached me and said, hey, I got this deal, and I think we're going to be starting a promotion, in India. We're going to shoot it in India, create Indian stars. We're going to do this and that, and I'd like you to jump on board. I think I go back, quite many years. I started in 2002 or 2003 in TNA Stud Meeting. We go back a long time. He knows that I kind of got my head on straight, and just the liaison between pro ref and cultural India, the do's and don'ts. I speak the language. I know the culture. I think he just wanted to, at the beginning, he wanted to be between the two that could smooth things over and tell them, hey, let's try this, let's try that. This would fit good for the indie people, et cetera, et cetera. And then I guess I got real good at the behind the scenes stuff. I helped write the shows, produce the episodes. Character Indians went on a talent mission, and we had auditions across the country to pick Indians, and then we trained them and made them into pro wrestlers. And one of the guys that I discovered at that time, he's with TNA now, Mahabali Shera. So it was a good project, and it afforded me opportunities to learn so many other things in pro wrestling rather than just in the ring. And I think it was also carried on over to now with Global Force Wrestling and my work there.
Kind of piggybacking on that, wrestling's popularity in India appears to be a huge and relatively untapped market. What do you think could be done on a global scale? I mean, not really just thinking, because it looks like GFW is kind of working its way into that, but it seems like it's not really as tapped into. What could be done to maybe...
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, its popularity has grown, so...
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, I mean, recently, I'll change my answer. I think recently WWE has made an effort to, I think they're starting an office in India, and it's 1.4 billion people in the country, and over the last 10 years, there's a very big growing middle class that didn't exist in India before. It was had money or didn't have money, and now all of a sudden there's this growing middle class and this growing young sector that's got money that they didn't have before. They're ready to spend it. Growing economy, why not? Take pro wrestling there. It's hard. It's hard because culturally things are just done so different over there. Business is different, and that goes with any country, any country that you're dealing with. You got to know the cultural complexity that go with it. And I ventured out there myself. I ran a tour last year, five-night tour in Northeast India. It was a big success. But the problem is just like you said, on a global scale, to really tap into that market, you need either somebody that has a lot of money here stateside that knows pro wrestling, or you've got to tap into somebody on the ground in India that has the capital to really understand what pro wrestling is and how to present it to the audience. And I think that we really did have that with Rinka King, and for whatever reason, we didn't get picked up for season 2. And I think that had a lot to do with the television landscape at the time, with Colors TV, our network that we were on. But I think that if they had signed us on for season 2, or even now, sometimes TV shows come back for a second season after how many years. So I think we're really tapped on to what needed to be done. Our first episode of Rinka, 18 million viewers, which is most watched pro wrestling show ever. So we had something there. I really wish we could have continued.
Are you looking for the newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
Now, one of the things that you had mentioned actually, is being able to look and seek out talent. Is there any talent that fans should keep an eye on in North America, Indian talent that you would expect to maybe cross over, achieve that kind of a success for us to be aware of?
You know what? There are some guys that we produced with Rinka King that by the end of our 26 episode run, you got to keep in mind these guys were literally plucked out of obscurity and thrown onto television and said, "Hey, you need pro wrestler." And I want to say maybe one or two of them had ever even watched pro wrestling in the past. Wow! And then that goes for Shera as well, who's on TNA now. I mean, these guys didn't know wrestling or watch wrestling, but the work that we were working with, these auditions were basically, hey, do you want to be on a TV show, and are you in shape? So, the people came out of the woodworks for that. But like I said, at the end of those 26 episodes, man, some of those talents really started to understand how to wrestle, how to put a match together, and understand, what it takes to be a successful television character. That's still. There still were light years away from being a top-notch performer, because I think total number of days of training I had before we started taping was 57 days. Wow. You can't. Yeah, you take somebody out of a remote village in India, you throw them in the ring, train them for 57 days, and you're just not gonna. I've been wrestling 15 years, and I'm still not. Where I should be, and I'm still learning every day, and the same goes for anybody else that does this. So for those guys, there are some that really did get it, and we're starting to get it, and I thought, hey man, these guys could have a future in this, but at the same time, we stopped filming in 2012, and they haven't done anything in wrestling since, so the probability of those guys continuing any kind of career in television and pro wrestling is slim to none, but it could have happened. But then again, if I don't do anything for 4 or 5 years straight, I'm going to forget it, and I'm not going to be very good at it, and I'm going to have to start to learn it again. So I guess that's the issue with those guys.
Are you looking for the newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at powerslam.tv.
As part of GFW, the promotion continues to see growth and explore various means to do so. What can you foresee for the promotion moving forward? The recent announcement of a television deal, I'm sure there's streaming services, but in your mind, what do you think in order for it to achieve and maybe compete with the other big 2 or 3?
Yeah, I think it slowly comes down to domestic television here in the States. I think that for anybody to be a viable competitor or just be a viable entity out there in today's day and age, and sure, there's other avenues like you talked about, streaming services and the digital world now. But I think the bottom line at the end of the day is you need a domestic television deal. People still sit down and turn their televisions on and find something to watch. And pro wrestling is, I think, got to be up there. So I think that our biggest hurdle, our biggest challenge right now, and we're so diligently right now behind the scenes in trying to secure something domestically. Internationally, we have great partners with Boulder Creek International out of London, and we're working with them. Jeff was just in the UK working on stuff and trying to get trying to secure television deal in Europe, and I think that the international market is just so huge, obviously, and it could reap benefits for any company, but like you said, to compete and be a viable entity here in the States, I think it just solely comes down to the television deal.
On October 18th, you'll be competing for Smash Wrestling, arguably Canada's hottest independent promotion. Some have even called maybe the PWG of Canada. Talk about your experience with the promotion and what fans can expect to see on this particular day.
Gosh, I was with Smash. I've done a couple of their shows, and I want to say when I was there, they were maybe the handful shows that they ever ran. They were in their initial stages, and I think that they are a different company now. I think it's night and day what they were when I was there to what they've become, and that's when you have smart guys behind the scenes, and you can get new talent left and right, your own local talent. That's what's happened with Smash, and they've got a great reputation, not just geographically, but for us. And I used to be there every month for an old company, UWA Hardcore. I fell in love with the place, the fans. It's crazy because I don't go to there as often as I used to, but every time I do go to Toronto, I kind of see those same faces, those same hardcore fans that I see at every show in Toronto, and it's a cool feeling, man. I'm looking forward to going back to Smash. I guess it's going to be me and Mike Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know much about him. I haven't seen much of him, but I've heard that he's one to watch. So that's kind of my driving force now here is just getting in the ring with guys that the current big thing or the next big thing, and kind of test my skills and see if I can hang and match. I think that's a real interesting matchup for us.
What does the balance of 2015 and beyond hold in store for Sonjay Dutt?
Well, we only got a few months left in this year. You know what? All my focus is on GFW right now and creating a successful new brand of pro wrestling, not just here in North America, but globally. And I guess that goes with the name Full Force Wrestling. But we got a real good, strong team, and we're working real hard and YouTube page and check out some of the videos that we put up. And our production team is second to none. I think they're maybe if not the best out there right now, putting stuff together and presenting characters and really capturing your emotions and getting into these guys. So our YouTube page, GSW Wrestling, is got a lot of cool stuff on there. GlobalForceWrestling.com as well.
Was there anything else that you'd like to share, encourage, acknowledge, or promote?
My Twitter at Sonjay Dutt and the Global Force is at GFW Wrestling.
Thank you so much for listening to the Pro Wrestling Post podcast with your host, Mark Madison. Once again, please visit ProWrestlingPost.com for interviews, blogs, and upcoming events in your area. And be sure to download the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Anchor, or whatever podcast app you prefer.